back here with another episode of Inside the 48. Today, we are here with
Johnny Wu.
And what got you into filmmaking?
I started making movies since 1998 with a friend of mine named Greg Petowski.
Mm-hmm.
So we teamed up together. He was really good at filmmaking, photography. I was really good with business part of it. So we teamed up together and started making movies since 98. And 3 years later, he just couldn't handle the pressure. There was lots of work and lots of things going on, so he just moved on. And I just continue on.
So what do you primarily like to do in film? Do you like to direct? Do you like to write? Do you produce? Or what's your favorite thing to do?
My favorite thing would be from producing all the way to editing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like to write too much, but unfortunately most of the time it's easier for me to write something out and then give to somebody else to fix the grammar and stuff like that. Now I've been working with John, which is a writer, so he's been writing all my stuff for the future films. But the producing is really fun because then I get to know the people, get to figure out how to do the scheduling,
mm-hmm.
directing people. It's always fun on set. And then you also work with the DP and a little bit more different kind of dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on the editing, it's where all the changes, everything has been happening. Because my background is editing, so that's actually better for me to do too.
I've worked with you for a long time now, so and your time management is very good.
Well,
when
thank you.
Say we're gonna cut, we're gonna wrap here. We're always within a half hour. A lot of times we're early.
Yeah, I try my best because I personally I get a little bit grumpy and pissed off when I get longer time. So if I work more than 8 hours a day, I go really grumpy. So if I get grumpy, I'm very sure the actors will be too.
You need a Snickers, right?
Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it. Yes.
As far as like the 48 goes, how many 48s have you done roughly? Do you know?
I started doing 2014,
mm-hmm.
so we had done probably about 7 or 8.
Okay.
48 hours. That's including the horror one and then the summer one.
Right. So do you have a favorite 48 that you've done?
They're all actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last one, the no filter overexposed, is the most funniest one that we did.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dennis was the director, right, for that one, or you were the director.
I think I wrote that one.
Yeah, you wrote that one. That's
yeah.
actually really good. I actually am very impressed. And then the first one, Sabotage, is very dynamic because it's we did lots of one take environment.
Okay.
So there's lots of favorite in there. We did The Land, which is actually very interesting at nighttime. You directed that one,
mm-hmm.
which I didn't want to be there because it's nighttime. I had to go to sleep.
Yeah, I decided to be that idiot that decided to film the night that we picked.
So I'd say you guys deal with it. I come back later.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's a lot of different styles. It's a very interesting thing.
So you were sponsored the 48 then, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So then your team was non-compete. You just did it for fun, right?
Right.
Okay.
I did that on the reason why because I want to be able to encourage filmmaker to do something of this kind of environment because making a movie in 48 hours is not really that easy.
Right.
And we have a little small crew of members, cast and crew that we work together all the time, but they don't understand how fast you need to work in certain environment. So Jason, me, and Jay Wexler, we first time we say, what's the way, Joe Yost.
Yes.
And then we like, let's put together a team together and let's see whether or not we can pull it off. So we just started to do 40 hours, and the goal is every 2 projects we switch the roles of the crew. So every 2 projects, a director become an editor or a writer, and the writer can be a director. The sound guy can become something else. So we train everybody in the sense of making them understand the environment of crew filmmaking. So this way they can go out there and be able to do a better job in the future. And I think it pulled out really well. I mean, you were a writer, you were the director. What were you also?
I did editing.
Editing too.
Makeup. I did the slate.
Slate, yeah.
Whatever that PA
work.
Yeah.
So you experience a different environment. So now you know how to make a movie yourself.
Right. No, it was very helpful touching each piece of that.
Yeah.
It was certain things were different, challenging. Speaking of that, not only does the 48 offer different challenges for like each film, like they have to have a line of dialogue, a prop, and a character, you would give additional challenges to the team.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
Yeah, because I feel like because we are not be able to compete, so so I feel like we want to make adding more challenging to with our own group. So this way, the filmmakers, the people who actually, the crew members, they can actually learn how to do a better job. So one on the project we have, we only allow certain type of lights available for the use. I think it was like 3 or 4 lights we can only use. And they had to be LED lights. And one for the first one we had to use a gimbal. You had to use a gimbal throughout the whole set.
Okay.
And so on and so on. So we want to make sure that the filmmakers who actually the crew when they participate, they actually know that besides the 40 hours challenge, they had to know better than that. So it was actually more stressful, at the same time actually make them more challenging for them to learn.
Like the one I directed, you said I wasn't allowed to do any makeup and no blood, and it was the horror one.
Yep. Yep. So that you got to find a way to make it interesting.
Yeah, we did shadows.
Yes, correct.
So, yeah, it works. Do you have a set structure for your team? Like, have writing done by this time, film this day, edit this day, or like do you have specific times that you mapped out for time management?
We actually did it. I mean, when we started doing the first one, the sabotage, we thought about having the person shooting at the same time we edit. And that didn't happen that day because it's a little bit more complicated on the set. We could do it if everything is one take. Then we realized that took a lot of time to edit. So we decided to say, then the next project, the following project, I think it's what's the name of the project? The one we did in all the way in the south, Jennifer's Place.
That was the Kill World?
Kill World, yeah, I think it's that one, yeah. The horror, right? The second. I think it's the second one. So we realized let's maybe had to just edit as much as we can and make it simple. That one we didn't do either. We had to do it after we came back to the studio. The third one we realized we can do everything in the studio, shoot it, and so on. So then we said you shoot and give it the footage, and on lunchtime we start editing. But the goal is to have everything done as quick as possible. And that's another thing. Even though we said we have 48 hours, the goal is for us to turn it as quick as we can. Yeah. Be the first, and which we always being the first to turn it in. In fact, in one that the one that you directed, we turned it in 23 hours.
Yeah, it was 23 hours. Yeah.
And that's the shortest time anybody can pull off for 48. Go ahead.
I was on another team that we did too.
There you go.
2 48s.
Yeah.
So.
But we also been. Brian always said our quality is always the good one. Unfortunately, we cannot win anything, so what we had to give us a more challenging thing to do.
Yeah, I remember I went to one of the award ceremonies for the first time, and they're like, you should be on a different team because you could actually win some awards. Like, you're not going to win any awards on this team. I'm like, well, I just do it because that's a learning experience. And it's fun. You know, that's the way I went into it because that's the mentality that you taught us. Is just go have a good time. Yeah. So when I was on other teams, it was like if we won, we won. If we didn't, whatever.
Always cry.
It was no big deal.
I'll cry. But yeah, I also kind of funny because every time we show up in the theater on the premiere and the showing, we hear people gossiping in the back, saying, "Oh my God, they're there again, they're there again," and they're like, "Lucky you guys are not competing," because they're just the pressure is there. And I also felt awkward because we've been doing so many good films in the past outside of 48 hours. And if we compete and we're not winning anything, it feels a little bit awkward. So, you know, it's like you're a boxer and you go to box and you always win, but then suddenly you lose one day, that's going to be a stigma. So rather be a sponsor than competing so we don't have to lose face.
What are some of the do's and don'ts that you could say from your experience from the 48? Like things that didn't work and you would say, don't ever do this, and things that work every time that people should incorporate in.
There's a lot of don'ts. Definitely a lot of don'ts. As a sponsor and as a person who actually work in the altering everything together, so Brian has something to post in a showcase. I had to go in there and fix everybody's audio. Audio is the number one issue where everybody's so rushing it. So when they had a microphone and they touch the microphone boom hole, you hear the click, 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 boom, 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 the noises. I had to get rid of those stuff in the background. Or they don't end directly to the person's mouth. So I have all the ambient noises in the background. Or when they're doing it, they forget to make the audio fill in the left and right audio. So all the audio come in one side of the channel. So either left side or right side. So in the post, I had to go and do fill them together so it looks like more normal.
Okay. Because they did it in mono.
Exactly. Yeah. Because microphone mostly are mono. So you had to think about the perspective. Sometimes the music is so loud and the voice is so quiet, I can't hear a thing. And I had to tell Brian, I said, I cannot fix this because the loud music is too loud and there's nothing I can do about that. So a lot of things I had to do. Number one is when you put in audio, do an audio gain to all of them. Audio gain to pick 0. And that's something I always tell all my students.
Okay.
So they always get to learn that. Because that what I have to do is push all the audio peak into almost 0 level, then you can hear everything you need to hear. And then you add the out music in the background. So otherwise, there's a problem. That's a big major don't.
Okay.
The other major don't is people like to complicate a shoot. Very good example is our 48 team with Dennis. What he did is the first 48 project, which is the Catch Them All.
Catch Them All, okay.
He wrote the script. It's a very nice script, but unfortunately it was like 11 or 12 different locations. So within the whole Saturday we're filming, we had to rush from one location to the second location, third location, the fourth location, the fifth, 12 locations. And everybody get exhausted. Nobody ate anything for lunch. And at the end of the day, 6 o'clock, they finally turned it in for editing, but everybody's too grumpy. There was like infight all the places. And one location is so hot, like over 100 degrees, and they had to dress the outfit, everything. I think you were there too.
It was the warehouse. Before it became the karaoke place.
And it just, everybody's suffocating. At the end of that, a lot of people just hate each other. God.
Yeah, I do remember that shoot. I think I was only there half of the day. I had to go to another shoot, or help another team or something.
Yeah, but it was very do participate. Do make a lot of chances to learn to do it. Don't feel like you had to win all the time. Use this process to learn to become a better filmmaker. If you can pull off a 48 hours film project, and you can do it right, doesn't mean that you can actually do any other project with no problem.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that. What about the way that the 48 is set up? If you could change one thing to make it better, what would you change?
I think probably the only thing that can be changed is having more consistent with the rules in judging. Judging is all personal and objective, meaning it's basically how you like the film and how you like the type of genre that you would judge based on that. So there's no way you can say yes or no whether or not judge is good enough. But consistency is an issue because I've seen in the past some of the 48 hours project, they cheated because they say, well, I already had the script written down many years, months ago. All I had to do is change the genre and then make it work. There was also one example where the team actually filmed the whole thing 3 days, a weekend before. And we knew that because all they did was adding the props, all the rules of one scene. They just only had to shoot that scene.
Ah. When was that? Was it a few years ago?
Yeah, a few years ago.
Okay.
And the problem with that is Brian became very lenient about the rules. I shouldn't say that, but probably because he wanted to make sure there's enough people participate. It's not his fault. It's more about the 40 hours rules. 40 hours team, they said that you need to get certain quota amount of filmmaker to do to make it more exciting. So he had to follow through that perspective. But I think that's actually a weakness of the 48 hours because when you break the rules, you make everybody feel like they can do whatever they want. And then when there's also a team that say that somebody used to prep for certain things or used the words correctly, that never did. I remember at the beginning, it was so strict that when you make a mistake with one word of the phrase, you're disqualified. They don't do that anymore, just because they want people to submit.
Okay. What about, is there a genre that you've always wanted to pick but never got for your team?
To be selfish, I always started hoping to get a musical genre, just to see how my team can pull off.
Oh man.
But that never happened.
Huh. What's your favorite genre that you picked?
I think action, because we all know how to do action really well. And then we also know how to do comedy well. I mean, when you were there, it was lots of fun.
Yeah.
It was funny as hell.
Your sets are never boring.
Yeah.
And always good food on the sets, too.
There you go. And we try our best to have diversity.
And we get ice cream at the end.
Exactly. That's
Fremont Scoops.
Treatback. Yep. They treat us so well.
Do you have any, have you, outside of the 48, do just because this is so new, I just wanted to get your perspective on it as far as filming during COVID. What precautions have you tried to take?
I have put together a very comprehensive, based on what Scott said and other people said, that my safety guideline is 5 pages long, and which useful for film production in a feature film wise. Short film wise, a little bit too much, but can be done. And the one thing I also realized with doing this post COVID-19, or we're still in COVID-19, is you don't want to use papers. So every deal memos, waivers, whatsoever, you use online programs like SurveyMonkey or jotform.com. It's free. You can actually have people sign it online, and then print out the PDF document. And then you also want to make sure when you go to set, social distancing is covered. Make sure you wear a mask to, put the mask on the cast and crew so they don't transmit it.
And you made your own.
We have our own mask that we do, just because we feel like I want all the crew members to wear this when they go around. Then people know that they are the crew members. Besides the shirt, they have everything else. They just be a uniform and make more professional per se.
Sure.
In a sense. And you control. If you have a lot of people, cast and crew, a lot of cast there in the set, make sure they don't mingle like crazy, hug each other, and be so close to each other. Keep a distance, because that's very important. Right now, we know for a fact anybody can be a carrier. Anybody who is doesn't show a symptom. I can be a carrier that I wouldn't know. I can transmit it to you and you don't know, and because you don't have any symptoms, you can give it to somebody who's the elder or a kid, and they will get sick. But you will never get sick because you somehow have an immune. You never know.
Right.
I went through decades ago. I went through the process when HIV was huge, but the pandemic of HIV. With that, we all know for a fact you don't want to kiss, you don't want to have, because it's sexually transmitted disease. You don't want to. Also, you can be transmitted by saliva. So we know how to protect ourselves better that way. This one, however, it's hard. This one, there's no way you can protect yourself besides do what you usually have to do. And when I see people go out to the set and they have picture taken without mask, I get worried. I was like, they can give to each other. I mean, when I see you on set, I get worried.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, they say already right now, from 20 years old to 39 years are getting more. And we just had the 4th of July.
Yep. That was a gathering more than 10 people.
Yep. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But you have to do your best, because even though you're healthy, you may give it to somebody else who's not. You may give it to me. And if you give it to me, then I'll probably just be crying in bed. Say, damn you, George! Run, George!
Do you have any up-and-coming films that you wanted to plug or talk about, or anything
yeah,
like that?
we have a feature film. We're right now raising money for Divine that we're hoping to get. It's a $200,000 budgeted film. We're hoping to get the funding, but unfortunately, because of COVID-19, everything is too slow. And then I have a feature film in the winter time that we have Pauline playing. You can be involved. A bunch of people. It's almost more like all the bad guys will be female, so it can be a little bit more women-based. For me, diversity is very important. So when I wrote that script, I realized, oh crap, I have 5 guys who will be the main and supporting actors. They had to be different ethnic background. Because originally I had them all white. It's like, that doesn't work for me. So I had to start changing. I had to make sure there's a lady to be the wife or somebody, and that could be a supporting actor too. So I had to expand it. So that hopefully we can shoot in winter time. The good thing about that is because we are seeing what's happening now, and I decided to make the storyline where mask is required in front of the camera.
Okay.
So you have people wearing masks, which is clear masks. You can see them talking and mouth, or you can use regular masks like this, or you can use different face shield, which I already ordered. So it's the era of the time would be sometime similar time to doing the wuxia to the code, where pollution and radiation is really bad. So, but they don't have the biomechanic readers in their arms, so they had to wear a mask and shield.
Okay.
So that happened to work really well in the sense of on the set wise. And then we can actually proceed, especially when people had to fight against each other. They're wearing masks. They don't have to worry about saliva spitting all over the places. So I'm hoping for that.
So you think the audio might still be clear then for that?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, we just ADR the whole thing again.
Yeah. Oh, the whole thing. Jeez.
We did it before in 98, so I don't think it'll be a problem.
Yeah. How would somebody reach out to you on social media? What platforms do you have?
I'm all over the places.
Yeah.
Just Google Johnny Wood and you should be able to find me.
Yeah, I can put all the links in the comments below.
Yeah, sure.
So, but thanks for coming out.
Thank you for the invite.
Yeah.
Invited.